Hi, my name is Stephen Nacy, and this is my Mackinac Video Journal. Our adventure started one early morning in May. We found our chaperones, organized our gear, and said our goodbyes. After a bit of delay, we finally boarded our buses for our long ride up north. At last, we are on our way.
We've been on it for 2 hours and it's getting kind of boring. And Alex, DJ, and Kurt are playing fish. And Alex and Kurt tied and they're doing sudden death. The girls are singing Britney Spears in the back. And we watched 2 movies.
Our first stop was at Hartwick Pines State Park. A paved trail leads visitors through one of the last remaining virgin forests in the Midwest. With nearly 10,000 acres, Hartwick Pines is the largest state park in Michigan's Lower Peninsula. The park is home to the Hartwick Pines Logging Museum. Let's listen to our guide tell us about Michigan's lumber industry.
We're here, this museum here tells about the lumberjacks and how they cut the big pine here in Michigan in the 1800s. From 1840 to 1910, it was what we call our white pine era, when the big white pines were cut here in Michigan. Our big white pine that we had here, 150, 160 feet tall, maybe up to 200, 220 feet tall in some of the early trees that were found here in Michigan. Made great wood for building houses out of.
The Logging Museum contains many examples of the equipment used to harvest and transport lumber. Many of these inventions helped Michigan produce more lumber than any other state in the country. This position was held for 30 years. We made it to the tip of the mitten and stretched our leg from the shore. When standing at lake level, the Mackinac Bridge looks very impressive. We stopped in a wigwam to see a Native American craft demonstration. Here a guide is making a small birch basket. We made our way over to Fort Mission of Mackinac. The fort was built by the French in 1715 and was occupied by French, British, and American soldiers. We witnessed a musket firing demonstration.
These are also what we call a flintlock musket. And that's because of this mechanism right here, called the lock. One part of the lock is the hammer. And the jaws of the hammer right here is a piece of flint. This is a steel bar called the frizzen. Now it's not loaded, but I'm going to pull the trigger and watch the action of flint striking steel. But we hope to get our sparks, but I didn't really see much. And we don't always get sparks. These are only going to make sparks 80% of the time on a nice day. Inside the flash pan I would put a little bit of black powder. That powder would ignite. It would send the flames shooting through a small hole in the side of the barrel called the touch hole. Goes through that touch hole and ignites the main powder charge, which I would have poured down the muzzle.
Cock your firelocks. Present your firelocks. Give fire.
No
Cock your firelocks. Present your firelocks. Give fire.
We also saw a cannon fire.
God save the king.
With our tour of the fort complete, we headed over the bridge to our boat. We packed the upper decks for our chilly ride from St. Ignace over to Mackinac Island. We must be getting closer. After unpacking at the Murray Hotel, we set out to explore the southwest part of the island. Hi Mom, I made it okay. With no motorized vehicles allowed on the island, everyone relies on the island's 500 horses to get around. We got a chance to see some of the 24,000 tulips on display at the Grand Hotel. The Grand has the longest porch in the world at 660 feet. Watch for the bats at the fort. Walking the streets in the morning was a great way to witness the island waking up for a new day. There are no traffic jams here. 1 million people visit the island every year, but only 600 call it their year-round home. We headed back for the hotel for a friendly good morning by Katie Reese. We found her classmates lounging around the hotel parlor. Some were playing games, while others were catching up on their island homework. After Mrs. Chris and Mrs. Lacey worked out the details, we were ready to ride. Once we all got our bikes, we were ready to circle the island. We would make many stops along the way, like this one at Devil's Kitchen. Since our visit was in mid-May, we could expect a few sprinkles. Arch Rock is a natural limestone formation that towers 150 feet above the Straits of Mackinac. Our trip around the entire island would soon be complete. The sign says keep off, but boys will be boys. It wasn't a postcard day, but it was still a nice view from here. After boarding our carriage, we were taken to the entrance of Fort Mackinac. Let's go inside.